It was a great coaching lesson for me to be learned at that time.
You know, Josh Fowler says all the time to people, I've heard him say it many times, are you hurt or are you injured?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're hurt, you can keep going. If you're injured, we'll call the doctor, right? You know?
And stepping into the ring now is AR Green. AR is a guy we talked to before the fights. He's got such a good attitude.
Does. My favorite interview, and I told him, you know, just hear and listen, I heard 20 people talk, and just hearing him talk, there's something about it that I had to tell him, this is the best interview of the night, and I really appreciate it.
He's real.
He's very
raw.
yes.
Everything he said, like, you can relate to it because, you know, he's a man who got into this, and it's a unique path he took. He was a rapper. He said, I was getting into these rap battles all the time. I was from a tough area. He said, I figured I better learn how to fight. And then he said he discovered so much about himself through boxing. He discovered what boxing can give to you, and now he said a lot of people from where he's from are quick to pull guns and stuff. He said, I'd like to put a stop to that, maybe see if guys can actually start putting on the gloves and settling things.
And you gotta appreciate that. And the other thing he mentioned is, like, he's taken some tough losses, but losses are a learning experience. And that's typically something you hear a coach or a trainer say, not a fighter.
Yeah.
Also, when he said it, I believed it.
Heavyweight boxing. We have out of the blue corner, introducing Mr. A.R. Green. And out of the red corner, we have Philip Davidson from Vansickle Boxing. Philip Davidson.
AR Green.
Oh, the right hand was not as good as his jab, but
he's pawing a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit head high. He's got to get that head down. The other guy, you know, he's getting caught with the jab, but his head's low, his chin's low.
He looks a lot more like he should.
Yes, exactly.
More defensively sound by far.
Well, he's covering his chin, right? And that's the big thing, right? So when AR goes back, he has a tendency to raise that chin up.
Yep.
Which nullifies all the good work he's doing, because if he gets caught with one shot, it's going to land a lot more damage than anything else.
AR has speed. And
He does.
You can see he's got power.
He
But
does.
You can also see that he's not quite there technically.
Yeah, but that was a good left hook.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
His punches are coming from weird angles too. It's hard to prepare for a guy who throws from the hip like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And,
Caught him again.
and like you said, he's just fast. Ironically, the left hand is super fast. The right hand's not very good so far, but the left hand looks beautiful.
The big
Look at
thing
that.
though
He's
about
beautiful.
fighting with your hands at the hip though, you can get caught.
Yeah. Well, and I could see this fight being like a lot of the other fights where a guy dominates the first round and the other guy kind of starts figuring stuff out.
AR's doing a great job of staying on his bike. He's getting just out of the way of these counters. He's very long. If he can utilize that length, he won't have to keep his hands up.
Yeah, and like we said on some of the other fights, he's not going straight back. He's circling to his right. He's circling to his left. So he's not getting pinned against the cage, which is paramount so far.
Mm-hmm.
And that lightning fast jab is beautiful. Look at that, right? It's beautiful.
I think if he could work on cutting some angles here, he'd be really sharp.
Well, he's got a lightning fast jab. If he would sit down on a hard right after it, man, it would be beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And I think the other kid, even though he's having to chase him quite a bit, I think he needs to also, feint a couple of times.
Yeah.
Throw some feints. Don't just throw punches every time. Feint a couple of times, get him to bite on those feints, and then throw.
Or, you're exactly 100% right. Or the other thing would be to throw a solid overhand right, make him, cover up, get on the inside, and then start working some stuff, right?
Yeah.
So far, again, a bunch of these fights we've seen are first round just like this. They made adjustments in the second round, and they came out different. We'll see if this happens. And so far, the difference in the fight is the lightning fast jab and hook from AR.
Oh yeah, he landed that hook and that jab quite a bit.
Yeah.
You want to know a big difference in this fight here, though? I see in the corner of AR Green, he's got Eric and Brennan, who are our guys. So he didn't come down here with anybody. He's on his own. You see Chad Vansickle in the corner of his opponent. Oh, that's a great camp. They've
was
got a
gonna
lot
say,
of great fighters.
Chad Vansickle's name's been involved in a lot of fights tonight.
Yeah. They came heavy tonight, had several guys on the card, and everybody's looked good. Jonah Atkins took a loss, but heck of an effort.
AR Green's still landing that jab and that hook. Look at him go.
And Davidson,
Look at that.
he, Green is circling well. He's not getting pinned against the cage. If Davidson would actually just take a step to his right.
Nice shots by AR
Yeah.
Green.
Cut the ring off, cut the movement down. You kind of know which way he's going, right?
Yeah.
And all you're going to do is cut that off. Easier said than done for us watching, but
I'm really impressed with AR Green's hand speed.
he's looking really good tonight. I mean, again, his power punches don't look so crisp, but his lead hand looks wonderful.
Oh yeah, he just landed a good quick uppercut, push off, and got out.
He
And-
looks nice and chill. Another Philly shell, more or less, right? He's not covering with the shoulder, but he's got the same kind of stance.
You got to give it up to a guy, too, who's doing it on his own, who doesn't come from a big camp, who's figuring things out.
Very true. Very true.
And one thing that I'll say, he is keeping his hands low, which is always a huge risk. But anytime, he reads the guy's punches. When a punch comes from the right side, he rolls his face that way, and it mitigates, some of the damage it does.
You're right, yes. The only critique that I have is just that right hand. When he throws it, he lifts the right foot up,
Yep.
and it's a little sloppy. But
We've
the
seen that
left's
a lot
beautiful.
tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so I caught a little bit with the right, but no power. Oh, Mike Tyson uppercut coming at you.
He threw that to Jesus.
Yeah.
So tell me this. What's Davidson need to be doing?
Oh, wow, what a right! I think
was
that
a
rocked
nice,
Davidson.
nice shot.
I think Davidson needs to cut him off. He's chasing. I think he needs to step out and cut him off.
Yeah, and I think we agree. I think Davidson's got the better style, right? But he doesn't have the footwork, even when he's walking forward, right?
He's
look
getting
at that.
tired as
Yeah,
well.
His right foot. You don't walk like that as a boxer.
How exhausting is it to chase somebody?
Yeah, it's extremely exhausting.
It could be exhausting, but there's a lot of people that actually get more exhausted backing up.
Yeah.
Right? Stalking somebody sometimes is better.
You see AR Green, though, he's looking fresh right
Yeah.
now. And Davidson is sucking wind.
He is.
And it's from constantly following
Well, if
AR
you-
Green, trying
Yeah.
to catch up to him.
And I think the thing that it's also a big factor, earlier we saw somebody backing up on the entire fight with nothing coming back. AR is stopping, he's backing up, and then he's shifting his weight and he's throwing the hook, he's throwing the jab, he's still hitting it.
Yeah. And I can't say enough about the left hand work. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
It really does. That left jab, left hook.
I think that Davidson has to stop chasing him. Either if he's not going to cut an angle, I would sit back.
Yeah.
Let him come to you. Change something up.
Stand in the middle of the cage.
I know when I like dealing with faster, more mobile guys, a lot of the time it can be so frustrating trying to chase them down that I would just stop. Just stop right in the center of the ring.
It's
Let him
ingenious.
come to you.
It is. Almost like the earlier fight that we saw, I don't remember who, but the guy lost, but where he was saying, "Hey, meet me in the center." The difference was they weren't really doing anything when they got there. The thought process was right. Come find me, but it wasn't really working out that
See,
way.
he's marching forward. Take a step back. Let him come to you some.
And that's the difference, right? He's marching forward, but he's getting jabbed every
A
time.
fight that we saw, where I thought that the guy that lost was much more technically sound. Rob Mayorneck versus, what was the tall guy's name that he fought? Mayorneck fought for a title and lost. It was the first time Mayorneck lost.
Armani Bell.
Armani Bellman. This is very similar.
Well, what's interesting about this is you compare it to a guy. There's AR Green's fighting with a spear right now. He's backing up and he's got that spear. He's the longer man. And you have Davidson who's just slashing at him and hacking at him with his sword. He can't reach him though.
Right. But if you remember,
He needs to counter.
yes, in the Mayorneck fight, he cut him off and he drove him into the cage, and then he got lots of damage output at that point.
That's an interesting point. Like, we're fighting in a cage. We're not in the ring. You can trap somebody here.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You could trap somebody in 8 corners. It's
Yeah.
an octagon, right?
Yes.
But there's not enough footwork right now.
AR Green's doing a good job of keeping himself off.
Oh, that was his best
Oh.
one, too, the fight right there. Why not?
That's the thing too. This
There's
is a lot more
shortcuts.
space to cover than a boxer's typically used to.
It's a big cage. We when we walked in, my grapplers, because the grappling show, they're like, man, that's a lot of real estate.
Well, I would
Which they liked.
almost bet that guys from Chad Vansickle's team are not used to fighting in the cage. They're training in a ring.
Yeah.
Well, even if you train in a cage, this is a big cage. Like I have a 20-footer at my gym, and this looks monumentally big. I don't know what size it is, but it looks a lot bigger than our 20-footer.
I think
Even
it's 30.
The difference is I've fought in a small ring and I've fought in a big ring. I hated it. I hated the big ring. It was horrible. Being a
Yeah.
bigger guy who had terrible cardio, you want the small ring. You don't want to chase somebody around a 20-foot ring.
That's why I like when people just cuddle with me and I don't really have to do anything. That's why I picked the sport that I picked.
Perfect fight from AR Green. It really was.
It was. And listen, I tell you, after the interview, I can't say enough. I became a fan of his. And I like because most of these guys have a story behind them, but I heard his story today, and I like it. Great interview again. I can't say enough. Great fight. Jab, hook.
After
beautiful.
3 rounds
Keep
of action,
trying.
the judges have reached the unanimous decision. All 3 judges score in favor of your blue corner, AR Green.
If they
Yeah.
said blue, I was like, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.